Sandra here from miniaturehorsemanship.com. Today we're going to talk about rein handling and how to hold the reins for your miniature driving horse. I have here a Rainboard, and this is my granddad's Rainboard. So you can see it has extra reins because it was the one that he built to practice for his rein handling for his 8-horse hitch. We are only going to use 2 today to make it a little bit easier. First thing I wanted to mention is I had a comment on one of my YouTube videos asking about, or correcting me because I called them reins, and this individual said it should actually be lines. She does have a point because in the draft horse world, it's a 100% they would call them lines. In carriage driving, it's more often reins, and really either is descriptive and we know what you're talking about. So if you prefer to call them reins or you prefer to call them lines, either is okay by me. There are a number of different styles of rein handling that you can research if you wanted to look into Achenbach or Hungarian methods, but the most common method is what I'm going to show you today. The most common method of holding the reins when driving a single horse of any size is just the traditional English way. So if you're coming into driving horses and you're new to driving horses but you have an English riding background, you're good that you know how to hold your reins. So we want to have our reins come between our last fingers, above our baby finger, and then over top all of our fingers and pinch with our thumb. And then close our hands into a fist. So what's really great about this method of holding the reins is that with your thumb on top, you've got these reins really securely in your hands and you don't have to squeeze them to hang on to them. And when we're talking about a driving horse, our only physical connection to our driving horse is through these reins. So any tension, i.e. you squeezing trying to hang on to the reins, is going to translate to your horse. So we want to be able to have those reins feel really secure in our hands without having to squeeze to hang on to them. And this is a really good way of doing that. I've seen lots of people driving their miniature horses with the reins just held in their hands like this. And that, I mean, even doing it makes my wrists kind of want to cramp because I'm trying to pinch. If they were pulling, there's nothing to stop that rein from just pulling right out of your hand. So it's not only not a comfortable way, it's not a very safe and secure way to hold your reins. This way is really comfortable. I have people all the time in driving lessons and they start out beginners. Naturally, this is the way you want to hold the reins, right? And you just pick them up. And when I switch them around to the correct way, I say, does that feel better? And they always say, oh, much better. It just feels more secure and like you have a better line of communication with your horse, which is the goal. Now, the other mistake I see people make is they want to have a soft hand, right? We don't want to be pulling on our horse. So they think an open hand and working with their fingertips is going to be softer. And it's an interesting experiment to do, but if you watch those, you can see those bolts. From here, those are pretty jerky movements when it's on my fingertips. If I put them deep in my hands, right in my fist, and instead drive from my core, move my elbows, my whole body, those are much smoother movements. So it's actually going to be kinder, smoother, and a more secure communication with your horse if you keep them right deep in your hands. If you want to play with this at home without your horse, and that's a great idea, you could easily make a Rainboard. It doesn't have to be as elaborate as Granddad's here. You could even just take your driving reins with the bit attached to them and fling it over the back of a chair or over a fence. And you could use that to keep that bit even and play with how much you have to move, and especially when you're driving from your core. It's so little, so subtle that you're able to move in order to see a big change in your horse. Having the visual of being able to see, look, if I pull, look how much that is, what an effect that's going to be. And that's not a very big movement of my hand, but look at that huge amount of movement of the bolt. What's that going to do to my horse's mouth? And think about the fact that if it's a bit and it needs to be even, we can't be having one way down here and one up here. We need to be keeping them fairly together. And if you want them to turn, allowing the turn with the outside rein as well as picking it up with the inside rein. So we're keeping them balanced and not pulling them off balance, which we see way too often with our miniature driving horses because they're so tiny. It's easy to accidentally pull them off balance with a dramatic turn. So we need to be really cognizant of that fact. I've zoomed in so that you can see a little bit more clearly how I'm holding these reins. They go through between pinky and ring finger, up through the hand, and then pinched with the thumb on top. And again, this is the most secure and easiest way to hold your reins for driving a single horse. It allows you to hold the reins securely without squeezing them. It gives you the option to just wiggle your finger to allow for some communication with your horse, to activate that rein and give a half halt. And it makes it very easy to drive from your core, which is a much softer, easier way to turn your horse. If you'd like to make sure that you never miss a video, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or like us on Facebook, and check us out at miniaturehorsemanship.com.